One of the essential features of all civilizations that have existed since the Neolithic Revolution, remember, that was when humans learned how to farm, is a system of social classes and specialized jobs. That means individuals in a society had specific tasks they were responsible for, and no one person had to do everything by his or herself. Ancient Mesopotamia had a strict division of social classes. To understand the division, many historians use a pyramid. Right now, we're going to take a look at the 6 social classes in ancient Mesopotamia by exploring the class pyramid. Remember the pyramid structure. You'll see it again when we study Egypt, India, the European feudal system, and some people even apply it to American society. The bottom class of people, or the base of the social pyramid in ancient Mesopotamia, was the slave class. Unlike what many people believe today, slavery existed long before the first slave from Africa was ever brought to the Americas. Slavery was a major part of the ancient world. Almost every culture we study this year had some form of slavery. In ancient Mesopotamia, slaves played a very important role in daily life. They were obtained when the Mesopotamian army captured prisoners from a rival army. They worked for property-owning members of society. They had no legal rights, and they were not paid for their work. The next class was the farmer and laborer class. People in this group worked on farms and helped with building and other construction tasks. They generally worked for land-owning members of society. Many of the jobs they did were similar to the jobs done by the slaves. However, even though they did not own land, unlike slaves, the government protected the farmers and laborers, and they were paid for their work. Because they mostly worked with their hands, farmers and laborers received very little education, and none of them could read or write. Merchants, teachers, and craftsmen are the next class. The people in these jobs were much more educated than the slaves and the farmers. They often owned land and other property, and they had people to work their land for them. Their jobs included buying and selling goods, making goods, and teaching reading and writing to the other educated classes. Soldiers were very powerful in ancient Mesopotamia. They were paid well, and they protected the people from attacks. They worked directly for the king. The king gave them the authority to enforce the laws of the kingdom. This made them like both a modern-day army and police force. Their actions and decisions were rarely questioned, because everyone in the city knew that they took orders directly from the king. One of the highest classes a person could be in ancient Mesopotamia was to be a government official or priest. These men were the best educated and the best paid in the country. They were the only people the king would ever seek out for help or advice, because they were thought to be in contact with the spirits of the nature gods the ancient Mesopotamian people worshipped. People in the lower classes were in awe of the government officials and priests because they believed that the spirits had given them special knowledge and wisdom to help them rule over the rest of the people. The top of the pyramid is reserved for the king and the king alone. The king of ancient Mesopotamia was seen as a god on earth and had complete control over his people. He directed the army, made the laws, decided on taxes, and didn't have to consult anyone else on any decisions he made unless he wanted to. His people were entirely at his mercy. So to review, the bottom of the pyramid were the slaves, who worked for no pay and had no rights. The next class were the farmers and laborers, who worked at similar jobs to the slaves, but did receive pay and had rights from the government. Next came the merchants, teachers, and craftsmen, who were educated and provided many of the goods and services that society needed. After that came the soldiers, who answered directly to the king and had absolute authority over the people to carry out his orders. The highest class were government officials and priests, who the people thought had special powers from the spirits to help them govern. At the very top came the king. He was seen as a god on earth, and everyone was expected to do exactly what he told them to. Now that we've learned a bit about the social structure of ancient Mesopotamia, do you see anything that might cause people to divide into a we and a they? Write what you think and why.